Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the meters section here on the board. So if I can get closer. So you have an input meter, an output meter, gain reduction meter, GR stands for gain reduction, aux meter, and a fader's locate meter. So I'm just going to kind of talk about what those do. So when you press one of the buttons, it'll light up, and then I guess when you press it, it kind of messes with these lights in the middle. And so what that's saying is, for the input meter, which I'll talk about first, it's going to show you what sounds are coming through these channels into the board before the board processes it or mutes it or anything. So it's basically saying what all is coming through. Now these lights are lighting up here because of my voice that I'm talking. Channels 22 and 23 are the crowd mics out here. And then channel 19 is this mic right here. So as I'm talking to it, it's obviously lighting up the most. And the crowd mics are picking up some too. But that's showing you what's coming into the board. So hello, hello. And then I'll talk again. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Now, those mics over here, those are all drum mics, and they are picking it up a little bit as well. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Channel 12 was one of the electric mics, and it was giving a little bit of this. I mean, there's going to be some bleed over across all the mics whenever something is loud. Obviously, it's going to pick it up. So that's what's happening in this case. But the main mic, 19, check, check, check. That's a signal coming into the board. So that's what you're going to get with the input fader. Now that's kind of useful if you want to know, like, if someone's playing their instrument and you're trying to find like what channel they're coming through and they're like the only one playing, then you can just hit the input meter and see which one of these is lighting, which one's coming up the most, and that's going to be them. And you can be like, oh, okay, that was them, unmute them. So that's useful. Now the output meter I don't really use as much, but it's just showing what is being output from this channel after we process it, after it's muted, and I believe it has to do with the fader volume 2. So yeah, that's correct. So I'm talking into the microphone right now. You may hear it a little bit because it's going to the auxes, but it's not being output by the mains. So this is kind of like a main output. The output button, that's like a main output. So as I turn up the fader, now I'm getting a little bit of an output from the channel. And if I turn it up more, I'm getting more output. I'm getting more output the more I turn up the fader. So this is taking into account like all of the gates, compressors, equalizer, mute, and everything. It's basically showing how much of each channel is being output to those two speakers. So if you really want to know, if you kind of want to level everything and make sure everything's the same volume, you can do that pretty easily with the output. Gain reduction. So this is, as we talked about in the gates and compression section, this is showing what is actually being pulled down as a result of the gate and the compressor. So you see that the two guitar channels are pulling down about half volume because of the there's not enough noise coming into those microphones for them to be active because of the air conditioner back there. I put a gate on those so that when the air conditioner is running, it won't pick up that noise, but when a guitar is playing, it'll pick up that because the guitar is actually loud enough to activate the microphone. So on this microphone, I've put some compression on it, and so whenever I talk, it's going to pull it down a little bit, and the louder I talk, the more it's going to pull down. So here I'm talking pretty quietly, but the louder I talk, the more it turns the gain down, and thus we have gain reduction. Hello, hello, and you can see that correspond up up here at this gain reduction indicator. Hello. So that's gain reduction meter. The aux meter is pretty interesting. The aux meter will show you what and how much signal is going to the auxes up top. And so I guess I can talk into this microphone and then start explaining it. So check one, check, check, check. Check one, check, check, check. So this microphone is going to the front wedge, and in this case, these meters correspond to aux 1. So this one corresponds to aux 1. This one corresponds to aux 2. This one corresponds to aux 3. This one corresponds to aux 4. This one corresponds to aux 5, and so on. So the ones in between, like that one and that one and that one, they're never going to show up, so they don't mean anything. And then so over here, it's like this one corresponds to stream, this one corresponds to sub, this one corresponds to effects A, and that one corresponds to effects B. So when I talk, check, 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 my microphone is going to the front wedge, is going to ears number 1 for the drums, which is both of these, because remember they're linked together. Going back to the aux. Check, hello, hello. So we see that this microphone is going to aux 1, the ears 1, hello, hello, hello. And we get a little bit of this one, which is the stream, because as you can see, mic 19, actually that's probably picking it up from the crowd mics actually, because it's not actually activated. But if I did activate it, going up all the way, and go back to the aux, check, 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 you'd see a little bit more. And then so if I cut this microphone all the way out of the front wedge, check, go back to the aux, check, 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 check. Notice that that's not being lit up anymore. So it's just showing you which channels are going to which auxes and how much of that channel is going to that aux based on your mix that you define, or that most of the time they define on the iPad. So the last meter is the fader locate button, and I talked about this a little bit already with the iPad section, but I'll demonstrate it again just so you can get a little bit of, you can kind of remember it. Okay, so when I have the fader locate button on, nothing's really going to happen now because I haven't adjusted anything on the computer or the iPad. So if it's off and I'm in normal operation mode, if I turn up or turn down one of the faders here, and then I hit locate, the reason I would want to do this is because these faders are not motorized. So if I want to sync it up with what the computer says that is coming through the soundboard, I can do it with the fader locate button. Again, even though this fader is at U, the real volume is going to be on this computer, because this is like the head determiner of what's coming through the board. So if I want to sync it up, this is saying, if I go to channel 1 here, it's saying your channel is way too high. See all these bars up here? The fader is too high here. So if I keep turning it down, keep turning it down, keep turning down the fader, and I'll zoom out, keep turning down the fader, keep turning down the fader, there, now it's in sync. And then vice versa, if I turn the fader back up and then hit locate, now it's saying, well, your fader here on the board is way too low. So if you turn it up, keep turning it up, keep turning it up. Now went up a little bit too far. Now it's in sync. Now, if the fader locate button is activated, then whatever you do to this fader here is not going to affect the volume. because it's not moving this on the computer. So this is just saying disregard the volume of what the fader currently is. I'm just trying to put it in sync with the computer or the iPad. Now, and you can see like if I can't really get both of these, but if the fader locate button is on and I drag down this, then if I come back over here, see we're out of sync again, and it's telling me that. So it's saying my fader's too high, turn it down. Okay, now we're back in sync. And then so I can just keep moving this and seeing how in sync I am with the computer. Now, to get back to normal mode, turn it off, and you can see if I turn the fader, well, if I move the fader, it's going to get back in sync with the board. Now, if it's on like it is right now, it's not doing anything as I'm moving the fader, but if I take the locate button off, then everything's back in sync. So that's an overview of the meters section of the board.